You don't know when it's gonna happen, but you know it will. You don't know where it's gonna come from, but you're ready to receive it. You don't know how it's gonna work out, but you know for a fact that you did not get this far to die in the wilderness. You know you're going to make it to that promise. You know that at some point it has to stop shaking and stirring and it has to start settling. So, in case you're wondering why I'm in the car, we're waiting for my goddaughter and my niece, my baby girl, to get out of there. She's currently getting her wax on. We were at the park and it started raining, so instead of going home, we are sitting outside of here waiting for her to come outside. So because I did not anticipate recording anything, I didn't anticipate doing anything but going to the park and potentially getting messy, I don't look 150% presentable for this video, and I don't really care. And I'm rushing through this because this is not the important part of the video. So hi, this is me, E. Nicole, and we are going to get into a part of my testimony and a part of my 3-month sober update. In April, I posted that I am officially alcohol free, and at the same time that I posted myself pouring out that bottle, I thought that would be it. Like, I thought, okay, I'm not drinking anymore. At least I still have my weed. At least I still have, like, at this point I had quit my vape, so I was nicotine and alcohol free, and I thought at minimum I'd be able to still smoke my little ganja. And that same week that I posted the video, I smoked my last spliff. I was actually halfway through the spliff when I outed it and was like 100% sober. So there's no painkillers, there's no weed, there's no stimulants. It's just the raw emotion. Okay, by the time I posted that video, I had been alcohol free for a month. So I've been sober from alcohol since March 25th. I sipped my last drink, and I haven't had anything else in my system since April 21st. And leading up to my last drink, I want to say that I was in absolute confusion, absolute chaos, absolute hurt, just not sure where to go. I was ready to unearth myself and be in the spirit realm, and I had planned it and everything, because I was like, what is this? So before we go into the 3-month update of me being extremely sober, completely sober, absolutely sober, and I have to stress this because this is my first time sober since the age of 12, and we'll get into that probably in another video if I continue to do these things. Leading up to being sober, I was hurt. I was disappointed. I had been taken to court the year before, and the fallout of that cost me a job. It cost me sponsoring my husband here. And that contributed to a lot of other things that was going on. And then the person who was paid to sponsor him, like the paralegal on the case, took the money and ghosted me on top of it. So I was like, why? So they were paid May or June 2021. They were supposed to file it by January, and nothing. January 2022, nothing. And in that process, I was in court, and being in that family court situation cost me my job, and it cost me my mental health. It cost me a lot more than I've ever really shared. And it contributed to me being in the situation that I'm in right now. So come this time last year now, and leading up to my last drink, I was like, well, I didn't move to St. Catharines to be completely alone. I had anticipated having help. I had anticipated having my husband. I anticipated having my family. I anticipated, not having to completely do this alone. So now here I am in this city where I don't know nobody. I've never experienced so much racism in my entire life, and I live in Doug Ford's economy and Justin Trudeau's Canada, and It's not like I can just get up and go to work, child. I have a baby at home. That's my baby. He not old enough to stay home alone, so he a baby right now, okay? So I was like, yo, honestly, the only thing I could do was numb it all. And then on top of it, I was in a business situation, a business partnership that I shouldn't have been in. I did not read the room well. I did not consult myself about the situation. I completely ignored all the red flags. My system, everything, my spirit just was not comfortable there. And I ignored it all until I couldn't. Things were just happening in threes on a regular basis. And I could get more into that, but it's not the point of the video. And I felt partially abandoned. And then I realized that I was a minefield. I realized that it didn't take much for people to trigger me. It didn't take much for me to start going off. And I was trying so hard to hide it and numb it to the point where I looked and I realized that I was arguing on social media. I was rambling online. I was posting. And I've always been somebody to post a lot, but I was posting fast forward to April now, and I'm like, something not going good, something not right, brother. So I was like, I'm going to church. I am going to church because the cross is half a broke. Like, I can't. It was too much was going on at this time, okay? So I went to church, and I have not stopped going to church since. So we tried a few churches, and the final church that well, not final, but the last church that we tried, Jay said this is the one. And I let him pick the church because, anyways, I just let him pick the church. So it's April now, and I came across Pastor Michael Todd on YouTube, and I happened to be watching a message about where he talks about being on a 21-day fast, and I just felt moved to do it. So I did my first fast, traditional like Daniel fast or whatever. I started by unplugging from social media, and I thought I could go back to my regular life. Now that I've stopped smoking weed for that long, I thought that I could just go and pick up a spliff. I thought I could go get edibles. I didn't even want it. I did not even want it. So May 9th comes, and I'm like, okay, well, I bought tickets to a boat ride in March. So it's coming up in 2 weeks. Was it 2 weeks? It was coming up after I ended my fast. So I was like, let me just go. Let me do my final lap. I'm going to play Mass in Miami. And we go. The boat ride came. And this is not my first time going out sober. I know how to be out sober. I know how to be around alcohol and not be moved to drink it. I know how to get down. I know how to have fun without alcohol because I'm just fun. Period. I know how to enjoy music. I know how to get down. I know how to, I don't need liquid courage. So I was like, I'm just gonna go. Like, I looked the best that I've ever feel like I've looked because I felt the best that I've ever felt. I was in such an amazing mood, and I actually had fun. But the entire time I was there, so the boat ride, the boat docked, like the boat left, whatever, at 2:00. By 4, I was ready to go home. So I was like, this is just not my scene anymore. Fast forward now, I'm being climbed like a ladder. And just because I'm 6'5" does not mean you get to, if you don't meet the height requirement, do not get on the ride. Alright, so boom, I'm sober on the boat, right? Alright. Not me waking up 2 days or a day later and I've gone viral. For a whole, I was trying to ignore it because I was like, that's not, one, how I want to be represented anymore. But two, we're taking the fact that I did not want this. I did not want this. I did not want this. And throwing it under the rug as if, you know how many times I tried to get this person to stop climbing me to the point where I was just like, all right, just dance with him and done. So when I seen the video, I was actually really hurt. I was so hurt. I was hurt, and I was angry. But while that was going on, I had realized that there was somebody in my close friends who I couldn't trust my close friends on Instagram that I couldn't trust. So I was like, why is everything just... while all of this stuff that, like, the viral videos there, and I'm trying to process that, a couple days before the boat ride, I was SA'd, and the person actually admitted, and I'm so upset I didn't record the conversation, to saying that they would do it again. So they admitted to saying they would do it again, and I guess I should have asked for consent. But anyways, so that's a part of why the video triggered me. But then on top of it, I had somebody of my close friends on Instagram that I realized hasn't actually been a friend to me for a minute now, and I don't want to get too into it because I chose not to deal with the situation and to just block everybody, bro. Remove them from following me, recluse myself, isolate myself, walk away from it. Because if you know me, I'd be ready to. So at this point I realized that, like, yeah, I've been in therapy, yeah, we've been doing trauma therapy, whatever. But now I really needed to do the hard work to heal. Now I really needed to address that the paralegal that was hired to put in my husband's sponsorship application was also the person who started to introduce me to narcotics and opioids at the age of 12, who started to mix me certain drinks at the age of 12, who started to teach me certain things at the age of 12. That person also would sit on the phone with me and be like, oh, your mom should help you some more, your mom is this, your mom is that, and then get on the phone with my mom and be like, she's ungrateful, she doesn't deserve anything, yada yada yada. So I was like, yo, I really can't trust anybody, not even my own aunts. I needed to do so much work so that when the things come and when people send me texts about I enjoy not being palatable to people and that I need to give it a rest, and maybe playing the victim. What did she say? Playing the victim helps me stomach the fact that I am a failure at finding peace or something along those lines. Stop. When I wanted to heal so much so that those messages didn't trigger me anymore. I wanted to heal so much so that, so I went and fasted again. And this time I deactivated Snapchat, deactivated Twitter, and there were people who I didn't tell anybody I was coming off Snap, but there were people who caught up in their feelings because I guess on Snap it put an X beside my name, so they thought I blocked them and cut them off instead of just checking on me, which made me feel like, yeah, no, now I'm definitely just gonna cut you off. Why are you talking? I feel like I'm skipping parts of the story, but anyway, so now we're in the end of May. I've deactivated Snapchat, and I've gone on another fast, and this time I was fasting from coffee, meat, social media. And when that was done, June came and I fasted again for another 7 days. This time I fasted financially, so we were doing financial discipline. No more takeout, no coffee, no spending frivolously. I didn't even really have it to spend because now your girl had an eviction hearing notice at her door for unpaid rent. Okay, when I say that I am struggling in Doug Ford's economy, okay, and Justin Trudeau's Canada, it's just not making sense that I'm making more money than I've ever made and I can't see another resident. It not there. And that's when I realized, monitoring spirits, but we will get into that later. When I say the boat ride triggered me, I mean by the time I left the boat ride, I drove to my mom's house. It was a 25-minute drive. I got into her living room and I started crying. I was like, Mommy, that's just not my environment anymore. It's not my space anymore. And I wasn't crying because I was sad. I was crying because I was releasing that part of me who always felt the need to be in everybody's vet, to be in everybody's party, to be everybody. I don't want to jump off of the speaker box no more. I don't want to rip off my wig anymore. I don't want to pick off something I'm pelted with. I want to raise my hand in the church of the Lord, okay? And that's when I started to realize while I was fasting that, like, if I can jump and weave with no clothes on, if I can rip off my wig and people fat, then I could raise my hand in the house of the Lord unapologetically and worship with my whole heart. I can sing hallelujah, praise the Lord, and post about it. I keep getting distracted because this story is actually really amazing. So anyways, June's here and it found me throwing out things. I threw out things that no longer served me. I threw out clothes. I threw out gifts. I threw out things that were tied to idolatry, that were tied, like, I didn't even realize that I was idolizing these things. I didn't realize that for me, I was masking a lot of it in my sexual identity. And I took pride in having control over my sexual liberation, and that was the only thing I had control over, really. And I took immense, like, I didn't realize I was so prideful. I didn't realize I was so, like, I was idolizing certain things. I didn't realize that I was so, I used to say, oh, I'm so forgiving, I'm so nice, I'm so this, I'm so that. I didn't realize just how unforgiving I was. I didn't realize just how angry I was. I didn't realize there was just so much that I needed to repent of, which brings me to how I accidentally walked into deliverance. Okay, so June 14th, I joined what I thought was going to be a Bible study, and when I realized it was deliverance, I said, well, you can't run from God now, girl. You here, do it. Why not? I can go into my deliverance in a completely different video, but can I just tell you that by the time that deliverance was done, a part of me wanted to be embarrassed, a part of me wanted to be angry, a part of me wanted to be like, you were living there this whole time? All of that was stirred up inside of me. All of that was hidden inside of me. And I just give God thanks that, like, one, those things were revealed. Two, they had to leave. You don't have a home here. Yeah, I'm getting emotional. By the end of June, I knew I had a huge mess to clean up. So I needed to figure out how I was paying this arrears, how I'm increasing my income, how what the rest of the year looks like for me. I had filed my taxes in March and it was still processing. I was supposed to get my tax return March 17th. So at this point I was like, you know what? Just hire an accountant and get her to fix it or deal with the CRA, because I have too much other things to do to be sitting down arguing with CRA. I don't have the education for that. We gonna send somebody who do. At this point, I needed to take financial control of my life. I needed to take spiritual control of my life, and I needed to start making changes, because I couldn't figure out how at this point to get my husband here, because it's taken so long to get the sponsorship done. We have to redo the application because the dates are from 2021. I highly doubt CBSA is going to look at that application and see that the dates are old and accept it. They're probably going to ask us to get everything done all over again. And I spent a lot of money on that process. And with everything I have going on, it would have been 150% helpful to have him here. Even if he can't work, let me go work 2 jobs. You stay home with the pity them until your paperwork gets sorted out, or whatever the case may be. Or if I go down there and, just to have another set of hands to just, So it's the end of June, and I realized that I had lost a lot of weight. So at the beginning of January, I was over 200 pounds. By the end of June, I was 173. And a part of this was also because during deliverance, I realized that I had body image issues and an eating disorder, which I was also using the weed to mask. And I had to figure out balance. I had to learn to love and accept myself in every way, in every weight, in every version of myself, every hormonal fluctuation, every flaw, every imperfection. I just needed to learn to look at myself and say, without your hair done, with or without your nails done, with or without your lashes, with or without this filter, you're still enough. So it's July now, and I can't really go into detail about how July has gone for me yet. I don't want to step ahead of God. I've learned my lesson. But what I can say is that I'm still completely sober. I don't have a taste or craving for nicotine. I don't have any taste or craving for weed. I don't crave I don't even want to sip or smell alcohol, to be honest. There's no sex, there's no entertaining conversations that I typically would have. I don't care to have the relationships that are judging, essentially, because if you were out there busy being upset about the fact that you got blocked on Snapchat, when reality is I deactivated Snapchat, you would have sent out an olive branch. I've learned to analyze the fact that sometimes my mouth shows up to conversations that my brain has not fully processed that we're in, which is where I've reacted instead of responding. And I've learned that if I'm reacting, I'm not reading the room, and my reaction costs me more than if I remove myself and respond. Even if that means I look stupid in the moment. That looks stupid to you, but I'm possibly saving the both of us from what could escalate into something else. If you know me, you know my temper was, child. Like, even receiving some of the text messages I've received over the last couple months, the fact that I haven't responded with I'm downstairs, I'm outside, is growth. It's growth. I appreciate that level of healing. Because I don't need to be that person anymore. I don't have to be that person anymore. That was a defense mechanism, and I didn't need to always be hypervigilant. And it's not even like to say that I didn't have to do it. It was a trauma response. It was a trauma response to not even accepting, acknowledging, or appreciating, which this also came with deliverance, the fact that I was essayed and molested from the age of 6, and I had been burying it and hiding it. It was a lot of disappointment, a lot of abandonment, a lot of me being hypervigilant and oversharing is a trauma response. Like, if you say, oh, I know that girl, what version of me do you know? The one that just had a miscarriage, or the one that just got out of an abusive relationship? The one that was getting boxed in a relationship? The one that was getting toned down in a relationship? That with people that y'all were cool with? What version of me do you know? So this time, instead of screaming, I'm listening, learning, and acknowledging. I'm giving myself the space, the grace, and the mercy. I'm giving myself the room, and appreciating the fact that, like, I had to move out here. That door didn't open by itself. God could have helped me move. I could have moved anywhere. God needed me to be put in a situation where I was forced to be alone, and forced to deal with myself, forced to look at myself in the mirror, forced to acknowledge all of the pain that I thought I was hiding, and forced to heal. I'm at the point now where I'm like, I just give God thanks for all of it. I'm glad that I got hurt. I'm glad that I ended up in the situation that I was in. I'm glad I moved out here. I realized that I had to move out here. I even wrote myself a letter, actually, about all the reasons why I had to move out here. And it was different from all the reasons that I thought I had to move out here when I accepted the apartment. And if I had stayed in the GTA, I'd probably have a longer list of things I need to be delivered from, a longer list of people I need to forgive who needed to forgive me, a longer list of things I needed to repent of. And I'm just grateful for all of it. I'm grateful for the beauty in the breaking, the blessing in the breaking. And I'm extremely happy to be as sober as I am. I don't miss any of it. So this is my 3-month sober update. I'm more calm, I'm more aware, more present, and I'm more intentional. And I have a stronger relationship and connection with God. And I'm just grateful for all of it. I'm looking forward to the next 3 months. I'm looking forward to being able to share what July has offered me. It's a part of learning to not overshare, and a part of taking back that part of me who didn't have a say. I have the faith to believe it. Miracle signs follow me. I will walk by faith and not by sight. I got the microphone. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm not gonna edit that out. We just gonna flow and enjoy the sunset. Can we see it?